Mental Training 101. And now back to Get Warrior Tough with Andrew and Dutch.
All right. Final segment. The most monumental hour in media anywhere, and we're not even kidding about that. This is a special, this hour, this is super monumental. I'll tell you what, you need to get a hold of the recording of this thing and play it over and over again. If you got a kid in high school or someone who's in college, they need this, man. I'm not joking a little bit, Dutch. I am really, I was telling the guys here in the studio on the break, I'm just so impressed. I just really am because, Dutch, you and I are going to talk about here in the next show or two about the state of the workforce and how unengaged most adults are in the workforce.
Yeah, and as weird as it sounds, you have to be engaged with yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be in touch with yourself. You have to know who you are, what your plans are. Well, you have to be intimately engaged with yourself before you can be engaged with another person, before you can be engaged with any type of work or employer or anything
Absolutely.
like that. And these guys are in touch with themselves. They know what they want. They know who they are. So they have that. They've made that connection.
CEO of you, man.
With themselves. Exactly.
They're already CEO of themselves, man.
And that goes for everything. You need it. That is ground zero, as we say. That is ground zero for everything in life. Is you. You're the center of the world. You're the center of the universe. You're the center of the universe as you know it. And if you don't have an intimate knowledge of that being from inside out, then you're already on the wrong track.
Yeah, and what do we always say? Can you give anybody anything you don't have? And if you don't, and I'll say really what it is a purpose. This is what I love about you guys is that it makes it easier when you have a purpose. Would you agree with that?
Oh, totally, 100%.
For sure.
Like if you didn't have a purpose and you're just trying to get to graduation.
Yeah. I feel like finding my friends. I now look for my friends for a purpose because if they don't have a purpose, then
why you want to? Right,
exactly.
Dude, I know, right?
No,
all, get out of my head. Somebody said that to me. We were out at dinner this week, and they said that to me. It was like, Andrew, you're cordial with everybody, but you're like, if somebody isn't taking, if somebody's not adding to your life or whatever, you just don't even have time for them. I'm like, right. I hate to say it that way, but, am I that transparent? But I'm not a big guy for just purposeless, on the rat wheel, whatever, small talk, just goof sacking off, as we used to say when we were, I'd tell the kids when they were little, you guys are goofing sacking off. Just I don't get it, but you guys get it, and I'm totally thrilled. Now let me ask you guys this question: in this whole experience, what's the most valuable thing? Your most valuable takeaway?
My most valuable takeaway: you have to have people beside you, because if you can be an individual anywhere you want to be, but you're just as good as the guy right next to you. Because what if you're so good, why aren't you helping the guy next to you?
This is so great. Dutch, you hear this, man?
Oh, yeah.
Part of it is the Citadel, but part of it is just me and Drew talking.
Right.
Because I know he's had some trouble in his company, and he said that. I'm like, dude, why? You're only as good as the guy next to you. I know it might not be working out for you, but you got to hold yourself up and them up. You got to hold it.
Right. I'm the problem and I'm the solution. That's awesome, dude. I love that. And I wish I knew it at your age. Because I used to be the guy that I never wanted to ask anybody for help. I wanted to be self-reliant. It was like really what it was pride, ego or whatever. I never wanted to ask anybody for help. But it's even part of your identity statement is always got somebody's back. So that's huge.
Yeah, humility is a big thing. If you can be honest, about your wrongdoing, then you can change. But if you're not, then you're never gonna.
Dude,
it's gonna be the same thing over and over and over again.
I gotta have you guys on the show more often. This is great. Do you hear this, Dutch? This is you would think, and I guess what's so it's awesome, dude. I love you. All right, so Drew, your most valuable takeaway.
Okay, my most valuable would definitely have to be how you treat people, because pretty recently I had there was an alumni that came in and talked to our company, Knobs, and he said something to me. He said, "At what cost?" And it felt like he kind of looked straight through me, to be honest. And when he said that, it kind of hit me everything in the past year, or even the past 10 years that I had said about somebody in front of their back or behind. It didn't really matter what you're saying and how you're acting about people is just gonna, because there's really no need for it. There's not you can everybody matters. everybody's, whether they're not doing something or they are doing something, everybody has something that they can bring to the table. And if you're going to treat them like crap, then it's just going to look badly on you, because what kind of person does that? Like, what kind of person just treats another person like crap just because they are or aren't doing something? You don't know where they've been, what they've done, what they've seen, what they've experienced. And it's just wrong of you to assume that they should be doing something when maybe they have no right to do it anyway.
Wow. Dude, this is great. I got to take you guys on the road with me, man.
I don't know about that.
I know you got to graduate first, but I know, and I don't want to take you off your path, but it's just I'm really blown away. It pleases me to no end to hear young men talking like this, of speaking of substance and ideas and values and core beliefs that have been thought out critically and vetted. It's just, I'm not around enough. I mean, because Dutch and I would go in and we train people, and we say this stuff, it's like they never heard of it before or even thought of it. And I know, Drew, it's a little different because you've been living in the house, but you've been gone. You've been gone for 9 months from me.
That's true.
So you don't know if it's going to take or not. You really, I don't know what's, hey, I know why you're, in my presence, I know. But when I've been watching you guys from afar, and I watch how you choose your friends and your partners. I mean, and just what you just said, Jackson. It's like if you don't have a purpose, then what are you in my inner circle for? Mm-hmm. One of the things that we coach is that John Wooden, the great basketball coach, said that you'll never outperform your inner circle. Like if you surround yourself with a bunch of clowns, you're going to be a clown. Right? If you surround yourself with high performers, then it'll encourage you to become a higher performer. And it's amazing. Dutch, you got anything on that?
No, this is what I wanted to say. I was thinking about this last segment. I don't want any listener to feel that we're taking these young men and we're saying they're better than anyone else. That they're perfect, that they got it all figured out. It couldn't be further from the truth. What we're saying is they've put themselves on a path, and they're holding themselves accountable, and they're finding out who they are. So we're stating a bunch of things that they've done, right? We're not saying they're better than anyone else. We're not saying, again, that they're perfect and all that. I used to tell a story about, whenever you're on a path and you get off the path, you make a mistake and you get off the path, you have the opportunity to get on the path, right? So the important thing is that you have a path. If you don't have a path, then what do you do when you get off and you go, when you make a whole bunch of mistakes? You don't have any path, you don't have any center point, you don't have any baseline. So what you have is a group of people who've created a baseline, a path for themselves, headed in the right direction. It could be based on your belief system, spiritual. It could be based on a lot of things, but you have that path. And if you don't have that path, you're in trouble. It's just as simple as the directions to the hospital. If I get sick and I know the directions to the hospital, I can go to the hospital. But if I'm sick and I don't know where the hospital is at all, I'm basically out there and I'm probably going to die. And so what these young men have created is a path. They made themselves aware of a path that points where they want to go. And if they fall off of it, like we all will do at certain times, they've identified the path. They can hop right back on that path. And that's what people really need to get from this. Not that they have it all figured out, but they are trying to figure it all out. They're making an effort. They're building a plan. They're putting it together, trying to figure it all out. And that's the first step. It's not about perfection. It's not about being a perfectionist. We've talked about that many times on the show. We don't want to be perfectionists. We don't want to be that. And so this isn't about that. And I didn't want to rub anyone the wrong way as we talk about how proud we are of these young men. It has nothing to do with them being perfect or being better than anyone else.
No, but I am very proud of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm biased because Drew's my son. So, but this stuff works, and it doesn't matter. I mean, people, it doesn't matter that they're young. It doesn't matter that they're millennials. I'm really just sick of hearing that in HR. We got to figure out how to manage millennials. You know what? It's really not that big of a deal. Because the human machine is the human machine.
That sounds more like an excuse than a reason.
Yeah, well, it's easy to just deflect. It really is easy to deflect.
It's true.
And Dutch, we're going to get into this, later on in one of the shows. We're going to talk about the state of the workforce in America and engagement and all that. You guys are ahead of the game. Stay engaged. Keep the purpose. Keep your eye on the 50-year plan. Understand what the things that you have to do, to get there. In the intermediate targets, the immediate target, the intermediate target, the long-range targets. So just stay on the path. Keep doing what you're doing. Go ahead.
And a word to the HR people who are always trying to figure out the millennials, right? You got to figure yourselves out first too. Now, I'm not saying you don't train your workforce, but you got to train your leaders as well. And that's the thing. We're always trying to figure out what's wrong with them without looking at what's wrong with us as so leaders. True, man. We have to do that. We have to be committed to doing that. That's the biggest issue. And we have to do that before we go and try to figure out what's wrong with everyone else.
But and this is funny, Dutch, because people, even the CEOs that we deal with, they just want the noise to stop. The training's not for them. They don't need to do this. Everybody else needs to down the chain. So you're right. Everybody has to be accountable for themselves, to themselves. I'm the problem. I'm the solution. And really, it doesn't matter how much success you've had in one area of life unless you've had success across the board, which we call all 8 cylinders. And that's what we're talking about, is building a whole person, not just success in one area of life.
Right. And we got about a minute left. But again, I want to reiterate, we're not trying to impress anybody, but we're trying to impress upon you what's possible, and that this stuff works, and that it's imperative that we as a people get started on this stuff, that we begin to work on ourselves first. Again, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that we got to get moving. We got to start working on ourselves and then moving forward.
Absolutely. All right, Jackson, last thought?
I think a lot of it has to do with, like I said, honesty. It's a big thing for me. It's because I struggled with it, is because that's what I wanted to be. So, like you said, not everybody's perfect, and I know that was one of my flaws, so that's what I want to strive to be.
Be honest. All right, Drew, last thought?
Find somebody like my boy Jackson here that can hold you accountable, and you can hold them accountable, because I tell you, it's a lot easier when you have someone else happening on the way.
Outstanding. Dutch, what else? You got anything before we go?
No, just keep plugging along, people. You're never too old and you're never too young. Reach out to us at www.getwarriortough.com, and we can help you. That might be the first step for you.
All right. Another one in the can.